Welcome to the American Lit Nation, where students of American literature can get tutoring without leaving the comfort of wherever they are. We are here to help you, the struggling student, figure out and comprehend our American literature. This course starts with early American literature, an exploration and study of Puritan literature, and concludes with 20th century literature many lessons down the road. We will upload as many videos as we can over the next 9 months. Yes, you heard me correctly, the next 9 months. This is going to be a full exploration of American literature, and maybe even some tutoring on writing as well. So please subscribe so you can be notified anytime a new video is posted. It would also be great if you would press the like button. These two actions will go a long way in helping this channel to stay alive and in spreading the word to help others just like us that struggle sometimes with reading comprehension and those crazy questions we have to deal with on standardized assessments. We really love teaching American Lit and hope we can help you get a better grasp of the analysis and skills necessary to dissect each piece of literature we study. You will greatly benefit from your engagement in this course. Now let's get to it, and welcome to the American Lit Nation. Today's episode is part 1 of The Captivity and Restoration of Mrs. Mary Rowlandson, a how-to tutorial on analyzing Puritan literature. Welcome back. This is The Captivity and Restoration of Mrs. Mary Rowlandson, part 2. You can see it here at the top of the page. I'm going to highlight something that we want you to pay attention to in this selection, and that is how Rowlandson uses the term remove to refer to occasions when she and her captors moved from one geographic location to another. The first remove. Now away we must go, those barbarous creatures, with our bodies wounded and bleeding, and our hearts no less than our bodies. About a mile we went that night, up upon a hill within a sight of town, where they intended to lodge. To add to the dolefulness of the former day and the dismailness of the present night, my thoughts ran upon my losses and sad bereaved condition. All was gone. My husband was gone, well, at least separated from me, he being in the bay, and to add to my grief, the Indians told me they would kill him as he came homeward. My children are gone. My relations and friends are gone. Our house and me and all of our comforts within the door and without, all was gone, except my life. And I knew not but the next moment that might go too. There remained nothing to me but one poor wounded babe, and it seemed at the present worse than death it was in such a pitiful condition, bespeaking compassion, and I had no refreshing for it, nor suitable things to revive it. Okay, now there's a few things we're looking for with this paragraph. There's actually two. The first one is over here on the right, the significant diction in the paragraph contributing to the tone. Please identify that. Again, answering our questions on a separate sheet of paper. And then the second question with this paragraph is what word is repeated in this paragraph and what is the effect of that word being repeated. So look closely, read it again if you need to. If you need help, be sure to ask me. The second remove. But now, the next morning, I must turn my back upon the town and travel with them into the vast and desolate wilderness. I knew not whither. It is not my tongue or pen can express the sorrows of my heart and bitterness of my spirit that I had at this departure. But God was with me in a wonderful manner, carrying me along and bearing my spirit, that it did not quite fail. One of the Indians carried my poor wounded babe upon a horse. It went moaning all along, I shall die, I shall die. I went on foot after it, with sorrow that cannot be expressed. At length I took off the horse and carried it in my arms, till my strength failed, and I fell down with it. Then they set me upon a horse with my wounded child in my lap, and there being no furniture upon the horse's back, as we were going down a steep hill, we both fell over the horse's head, at which they, like inhumane creatures, laughed and rejoiced to see it. Though I thought we should have ended our days, as overcome with so many difficulties. But the Lord renewed my strength still and carried me along, that I might see more of his power. yea, so much that I could never have thought of had I not experienced it. Okay, we're asking you first with the first question here, is to paraphrase this clause. I'm going to highlight this clause for you. It is not my tongue or pen can express the sorrows of my heart and bitterness of my spirit at this departure. So we're asking you in this case to paraphrase this. Please use complete sentences. Again, use a separate sheet of paper. Here, metonymy is a substitution for a word that is closely associated with it. Blank is closely associated with speech, and blank is closely associated with writing. Here we have a question, the meaning in this context of furniture, something that we're looking at here. And then down here there's a couple of other questions. One, what does Rowlandson say helped her survive? And how is this paragraph didactic? What lesson did Rowlandson learn in this paragraph? Very good. I've highlighted all the questions for you, but please make sure you answer these. All right, moving right along. After this quickly it began to snow, and when night came on, they stopped, and now down I must sit in the snow by a little fire and few boughs behind me, with my sick child in my lap, and calling much for water, being now, through the wound, fallen into a violent fever. My own wound also growing so stiff that I could scarce sit down or rise up. Yet so it must be that I must sit all this cold winter night upon the cold snowy ground with my sick child in my arms, looking that every hour would be last of its life, and having no Christian friend near me either to comfort or to help me. Oh, I may see the wonderful power of God, that my spirit did not utterly sink under my affliction. Still the Lord upheld me with his gracious and merciful spirit, and we were both alive to see the light the next morning. Okay, let's read closely here. Tell us who has the fever, and we also want to know how Rowlandson and her child survived through the night. Okay, here we go. The third remove. The morning being come, they prepared to go on their way. One of the Indians got upon a horse, and they set me up behind him, with my poor sick babe in my lap. A very, very wearisome and tedious day I had of it, with my own wound and my child being so exceedingly sick, and in a lamentable condition with her wound. It may be easily judged what a poor feeble condition we were in, there being not the least crumb of refreshing that came within either of our mouths from Wednesday night to Saturday night, except the only little cold water this day in the afternoon. About an hour by sun we came to the place where they intended, viz., an Indian town, called Wenimesset, northward of Quogue. When we were come, the number of pagans, now merciless enemies, that there came about me, that I may say, as David in Psalms 27:13, I had fainted unless I had believed, etc. The next day was the Sabbath. I remember how careless I had been of God's holy time, how many Sabbaths I had lost and misspent, and how evilly I had walked in God's sight, which lay so close unto my spirit, that it was easy for me to see how righteous it was with God to cut off the thread of my life and cast me out of his presence forever. I sat much alone with poor wounded child in my lap, which moaned night and day, having nothing to revive the body or cheer the spirits of her. But instead of that, sometimes one Indian would come and tell me 1 hour that your master will knock your child in the head, and then a second, and then a third, your master will quickly knock your child in the head. All right, let's stop there for a second and look at our questions. First of all, is this the first reference to the child's gender in the story? You may have to look back in the earlier text. Based on context, what does viz mean? Were they intended to viz? Right there. I just highlighted it for you. Allusion. Why does Rowlandson use it in this particular location? And here is the allusion. Psalms 27:13. In this paragraph, what mistake of her past does Rowlandson recognize? And how does her recognition of this mistake serve a didactic purpose? Okay. This is the comfort I had from them. Miserable comforters are ye all. As he said, thus 9 days I sat upon my knees with my babe in my lap, till my flesh was raw again. My child being even ready to depart this sorrowful world, the babe bade me carry it out to another wigwam. I suppose because they would not be troubled with such spectacles. Whither I went with a very heavy heart, and down I sat with the picture of death in my lap. About 2 hours into the night, my sweet babe, like a lamb, departed from this life on February 28, 1676. It being about 6 years and 5 months old, it was 9 days from the first wounding in this miserable condition, without any refreshing of one nature or other except a little cold water. I cannot help but take notice at how another time I could not bear to be in the room where any dead person was, but now the case is changed. I must and could lie down by my dead babe, side by side, all the night after. I have thought since of the wonderful goodness of God to me, in preserving me in the use of my reason and senses in that distressed time, that I did not use wicked and violent means to end my own miserable life. All right, here we go. Highlighted here, as he said. Okay, what is the clue that this is an illusion? Remember what the definition of an illusion is. Next question, what does she mean by such spectacles? You may have to look up the definition of spectacles. And then what is the picture of death? What literary device is being used? Picture of death in my lap. What does Rowlandson say helped her to stay tuned or stay sane during these events? What characteristics of Puritan writing are present in this selection? Provide textual evidence as support. Terms, phrases, and names Rowlandson uses to refer to Native Americans and throughout the selection. The last piece that we need to address is continuing with the question above about the characteristic of Puritan writing and belief and textual support. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different characteristics that we're looking for and the support to go along with it. Some of them may be able to repeat, but please give me some textual support. All right, this concludes part 2, and it concludes the Captivity and Restoration of Mary Rowlandson.
If you like this video, please let me know and click on the subscribe button. Don't forget about the bell. The bell will let you know when we have future videos. Thank you for watching and welcome to the American Lit Nation.